meeting. Please rise for the flag salute. Mr. Chief. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger on January the 11th, 2021. Mr. Cheek?
Here.
Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Patali?
Here.
Mayor Kane?
Here. At this moment, I'd ask you to join me in a moment of private reflection. All right, we'll move on to guest presentations. I do not believe we have any this evening. And that'll move us on to proclamation. We have before us a proclamation regarding Knockout Opioid Abuse Day. This is a proclamation for the Municipal Alliance, Chair Lisa Talano. We have no one here to accept that this evening. It's something we do on an annual basis. So I will entertain a motion to accept that.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we will move on to addition of deletion of late agenda items. We have 2 items, which will encompass 3C, which is the Mispa Firehouse and the progress of what's going on there, and 3D, the Lighthouse. So we'll go ahead and accept those. And next, we'll move on to early public comment on agenda items excluded for public hearing. Do we have any?
There's one item, Mr. Stry signed up.
Mr. Stry?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the agenda, Planning Board ordinance recommendations, I know that your discussions are in the preliminary. Well, I know there's been discussion going on, but an ordinance hasn't been drafted. But I would like to just comment on signs. Not sure what the sign changes will be, but my opinion, you can change or make all the sign recommendations to the ordinance. But if we have a zoning officer that does not, and I'm not talking about the current zoning officer, but going back more than 30 years, if we have a zoning officer that does not enforce the sign ordinance or any ordinance, for that matter, it really doesn't pay for the township to pay Mr. Samian to create an ordinance if the ordinance isn't going to be enforced. On accessory structures, I know there's been some discussion about front yards, accessory structures.
Yes.
I understand, about the paper streets, which is acceptable. The only question I have or concern is that may send these zoning applications for administrative review. I think you need to be careful about administrative review, not to go into examples and details of past concerns, but I think it needs to be spelled out, the procedure very specifically, and the administrative review has to be included in detail if that's the route you go. So they're my concerns. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments and concerns, Mr. Stry. Thank you. All right. If there's no one else, we will move on to 3A. 3A is the Open Space Trust Fund. Mr. Miller, would you start us out on this, please?
Yes, Mayor. Back in August, you adopted a resolution for a referendum question on the November ballot for the voters to decide whether or not they want to have an open space trust fund. As you're aware, open space trust fund can be used for acquisition of property, development of property, maintenance of property, paying debt service on property that you've already developed. For this to be successful, I think there's a few things that the Township Committee has to do to publicize this question, to educate the residents about it. We need to post something to our webpage. We need to have liaisons deal with the youth groups, since they're almost direct beneficiary of it, whether a green team would like to get involved in that promotion, Historic Society, something on Facebook. But we need to have a concerted effort. The other thing is yard signs. I took the liberty of making up two very simple yard type signs. One is support open space and one is vote yes on open space. 250 of those placed around town with the disclosure that's paid for by the Township of Hamilton. It's not a political issue. It's a bipartisan effort. You voted 5-0 to put this on the ballot. But to ensure its success and serve the purpose as to why you put on the ballot, I think there has to be some PR which is done to assist us to get to the finish line.
Committee? Questions, comments? This is a situation, as Peter said, we made the decision to go ahead and allow the residents and the taxpayers and the voters of this township to decide whether or not they would like to see us establish a municipal open space trust fund. Right now, if we're moving in that direction, which we've already agreed to do, we need to get some promotion done so voters know exactly what they're going to vote on. And as Peter said, this has to do with the acquisition, maintenance, expansion, and upgrades to current and whatever may be future open space, athletic fields, parks, etc.
Is there a way that we can put that, at least put it on our website, that we're endorsing the open space?
Absolutely. I think that's a great start. That's at a minimum. We should do that. It should be put on the digital sign located at Gaskell Point. And I guess your decision would have to be the signs that Mr. Miller is referring to, or there's something that we'd want to entertain to educate voters throughout the township.
Yes, we also should send letters to the people involved in the athletic program and also the green team.
I agree. Any more comments, questions, discussion? Speaking, I think we should put the amount on the record. The ballot measure calls for an annual levy of 0.02 cents per $100 of assessed value. So that is something that, again, we need to be promoting out there, that it's a minimal amount on the overall assessed value and the good that it can do. So
it's $0.02, I think, isn't it?
No, 0.02 cents. 0.02 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Any other questions or comments?
Just to clarify, is that 2 cents per or 0.02 cents?
2 cents is 0.02 cents.
Not
Yep.
0.02 cents.
2 cents.
2 cents.
Yeah, 2 cents on it. Yeah.
The way it's written here, it actually has it down as 0.02 cents, but it's 2 cents.
So it has a dollar sign in front of it. It says dollar sign
it's only
0.02.
$0.02, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, this is a decision that the voters are going to make, whether or not it's something they support, want to see. It's just us making the decision on promoting it. And I believe it's a positive thing, and we should go ahead and start that process.
Going back to my graphics and the interest in yard signs, it says something like this. Usually for 250 yard signs, you could get it made for about $500. The trust, at 2 cents, it'll bring in close to $400,000 a year
That's
for
substantial.
the youth and for open space.
Those signs have to be put up pretty soon, right?
ASAP.
Yes. As soon as possible.
If you say go, tomorrow we'll place an order for it. Hopefully, they'll be made within the weekend. We'll have Public Works start putting them up.
Cost $500 for signs. Last I checked, labor costs money to put signs up.
Volunteers.
Or we can get volunteers.
We could absolutely solicit volunteers for it. But that's where we're at, committee. So if you want to move forward, I'll entertain a motion. Do we need to entertain a motion for an ordinance on this, or are we just going to go ahead and authorize yourself, or do we have to motion for something other than what we have in front of us to be language-wise to be done, or no?
No, that's already been sent to the county clerk. That is going to appear on the ballot.
All right.
What we're talking about here is our own self-promotion PR to make the residents aware of what it means to them, to support this, or if they choose not to support it, they at least know what it is. The last thing you want to happen is the day after election, regardless of what happens, which way it comes out, when people turn around and say, well, I didn't understand it that way. I would have voted differently if somebody shares things. So, whether it's the mayor does an interview with the press, so it appears in the Current and maybe the press, we put up on our webpage, we have signs up, the youth groups, the Green Team promotes it within their networks. I think that's a pretty, good approach to get the message out there to the groups that, are affected by this.
Can we put that out on the Nixle? Would that be
I'll
allowed?
talk to the chief about how big of a message you could put there. A lot of times that's just advance notice.
Well, maybe if the Knicks will just pointed them into a direction where they could learn more about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thumbs up from the chief back there. He'll figure something out.
I'd like to make a motion to get some of the signs produced.
I have a motion.
Second,
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, Rita, could I get a roll call on this one, please?
Yes, Mr. Chi?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
yes,
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
No.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no, motion carries.
Moving on, we'll go to B, which is Planning Board Ordinance Recommendations, and I think we should take these separately, especially the third one. The first one, you've seen your package, you've had an opportunity, or may or may not have an opportunity to read through it all. It's not a fun read. It's quite extensive. But on the other hand, what I can say to you is the individuals that you appointed as members of the planning board have spent, Steve, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've been upwards of 2 years on this, at least. It kind of got lost. I think this was supposed to be brought up in the beginning of the year when it got finalized. It is now back on for consideration. We're essentially updating the lighting standards for developmental purposes in Hamilton Township. The second part of it is the sign standards for Hamilton Township. And then again, I think if you want to take them separately or we can take them together, we definitely need to break out 3 because I think we need to have some conversation on that. So, are there any questions on the sign ordinance and or the lighting ordinance? Mr. Cheek, I know you were involved in this from day one, so I know that you're well versed on it.
I'm well versed on it, yes. I have no questions naturally. But
All right. Well, again, you have 9 individuals from planning and zoning that have reviewed this with the professionals on that board for a period of in excess of 2 years now. So taking upon their appointed recommendations, I would entertain a motion first to move forward with the recommendations from the planning board on the lighting ordinance.
a motion.
I have a motion.
second,
I have a second. Could we get a roll call on this, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, when you say move forward, you mean move forward to have an ordinance drawn up?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Chi?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
yes,
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Secondly, we'll take the sign ordinance with the same comments.
okay, so moved,
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Read a roll call, please.
Mr. Chi?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All
I
yes.
have a question on that.
Oh, go ahead.
We know that all that these meet with state standards, that they're in agreement with state standards?
Yes. I can confidently say that, yes.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion, a second, and a roll call. Any other questions, Mr. Gashard?
No.
Okay, so we'll move on to 3, accessory structures. I did want this broken out separately. After reviewing it and having some discussion back and forth, this goes back, I have to tell you, this is something that's been talked about from a zoning board standpoint for at least the better part of a decade plus. Back when, and we are getting much busier now with planning and zoning workshops. I see the next couple of years being the same as they were 10 or 12 years ago, when it took several meetings to even be able to get onto a meeting, with the interest that's been garnered in Hamilton Township. And the meetings used to be filled up with front yard accessory structure applications. Essentially, the reason why I wanted to separate this out, because I believe that they're on the right track with this, and I think that we can eliminate some of these applications from having to go in front of the zoning board, but I believe that can only be done in a paper street situation. And just for those of you that might not be up to speed on it, this involves properties that may have a corner lot. So if you have a corner lot in a neighborhood or anywhere in the township, and you have the street that border your house may face one street, the corner lot, that other street from the rear of your property, the principal structure to that street is considered a front yard. So if you want to stick a structure in that, such as a shed, a pool, or any other type of garage, you would have to go before zoning, and you would have to get a variance in order to do so. This could eliminate that in certain situations, and allow it to be done under administrative review. Hence, not having the individuals have to go through the extra process of having to go before the zoning board. I'm very careful on granting administrative review because it does leave things open to interpretation. I believe if we send this back to the zoning board based on the comments that I'm making, they could clean up the language and present us something that we could turn around and eliminate those applications when they're on a paper street that has no possibility of possibly being built out in the future. That could be done administratively. My fear is that when you have a neighborhood like Tavistock or Woods Edge or any of the other planned developments that have been built in phases, that you could end up with a corner property where the road may not be improved, but we know that the next phase is going to come, and therefore that road will eventually be improved. And I don't believe that, and it's in my personal opinion, that those should be excluded from going to the zoning board for its rightful consideration. So my suggestion would be send it back to the planning board with those comments, let them clean the language up, bring it back to us so that we could visit it again, and then motion to pass an ordinance.
So really, the ordinance isn't written yet.
It is not, no. They wanted to get our opinion on whether or not we would be in support of something of this nature.
So summarizing what has been recommended, could you reiterate, say if I had a piece of property with that had 2 front yards, one being on a paper street,
Yes.
and not, being used, but potentially being used, what would you recommend? What do you think would be a proper thing to do?
I think in that situation that you're describing, and again, if we look back at the way planning and zoning was done 50 years ago, everything was done on 50 by 100 lots. And so there's a tremendous amount of paper streets throughout the township that will never see the light of development. I think that between the zoning officer, the community development director, that administratively they could review those and identify those and avoid that individual from having to go before the zoning board. Only in those cases. Again, if it's not a paper street, then I believe that application should still have to go before the zoning board and be judged on its merits.
And you're saying that in regards to putting a shed, a fence,
That's correct. Any structure, any accessory structure, in addition to the principal structure that is located in the front yard, requires a variance.
Okay. All right.
Again, Mr. Chief, this is something that you've spent a
Yeah,
lot of
we
time
spent a
on,
lot
so
of
you
time
know
on it.
exactly what we're going through here. So if there are no additional questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to send it back to the planning board with those comments for them to review and send us back sample language that they'd like us to use.
I would make that motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, we'll move on to C. C is the MISPA Firehouse progress, and I'm excited about this one. So, Chief, if you have a moment, and is Brett here? Great. Thank you, Brett. I asked to put this on the agenda. I wanted to make sure that the public was updated. I wanted to make sure the residents of MISPA were updated on the progress of what's going on out at MISPA at the Public Safety Annex that will house a fire department, a police substation, and Public Works Department. And we are moving along. Public Works is out there. I'll let Brett update us. But and then, of course, the chief, our goal chief.
So they say progress takes time.
Yes.
So it's taken about a year. What our plans are, we had the misfortune to,
Karen.
we had the misfortune to be in a situation that the MISBA firehouse had to be closed. So we thought we would take that opportunity and take lemons, make it into lemonade, and make something good out of it. And that's what I believe that we're doing. We wanted to give more services to the MISBA community. So the way we did that, or the way we're going to do that, is we're going to put a substation for the police. We're also going to do a fire substation and a public works substation. So the police, obviously, it's a good thing. People that have minor crimes or things that they need to see the police about, they don't have to come to this building and drive 10 miles. They'll be able to meet an officer up at the Township of Hamilton Public Safety Annex in MISBA. So that's what it'll be called. And then Public Works, what'll be great is they'll have a salt shed up there. They'll have other, they'll have lawn equipment, things of that nature. So in the wintertime, if there's a snowstorm or something, they'll be able to get salt. They won't have to come all the way back to the center of town. They'll be able to make the streets a lot safer, a lot quicker. So there's a lot of added benefits to having the substations up there and providing those additional services to MISBA. So what Brett's team has been tasked with is beautifying the place, giving it a little cleaning up and freshening it up. So they've worked extremely hard over the last month, cleaning up the place. We have things that we want to do, and Brett and I spoke today, so I'm going to talk, and if he wants to add something, we will, or he will. The building's going to be painted. We're going to do it in stages, so it's going to start out slow, but in the end, we just want a very nice product up there to show MISBA that they are part of our township and that we care about them, and then we want to provide those services to them. So it's going to start out by obviously putting those services up there. So what Brett's team has done, they've made a room for the police that's secure and everything. We're going to put IT equipment up there. We're going to put additional cameras. We're also going to fence in the area in the back so that we can store equipment up there and equipment inside the building for snow plows, lawn equipment, things of that nature. And we're going to do a memorial. As everybody is aware, Natalie Dempsey passed away during a call for service. So she will, there'll be a memorial for her up there. We're also relocating the flagpole off to the side, which was donated in Mr. Archetta's name. So that's going to be put over to the side. So there are a lot of other things that we're going to do up there, but like I said, baby steps. Progress takes time and it takes money. So being good caretakers of your money. We're going to do it in stages and we're going to do it gradually. But in the end, we want to have a nice product up there. And that's basically it. I don't know if Brett has anything he wants to add.
All right, I'm gonna.
This really goes to Public Works. They work their butt off up there.
But I'm gonna put you on a spot before Brett speaks.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you for a hard date of when we're gonna pull a fire truck back in that building.
October 18th.
October 18th. There it goes. Thank you. So October 18th for those members of the western part of our community. We've been covered by Richland, by Mays Landing, by Weymouth, who will still be.
Will still be covered. So it's going to be a substation. Mays Landing has so graciously agreed to continue to help us with the Mizpah area. So they will be overseeing that firehouse as a fire substation. Richland has been a tremendous partner with the Township of Hamilton. I apologize. I've had my back to you guys the whole time. Not that I don't care about you. It's just I was focused here. But they've been a tremendous partner with the Township. And they are a lot of times first on the scene because they're so close to that building. They're actually 2 miles away from the original Mizpah firehouse. So they've been great partners. So they're going to still be there with us. Weymouth will still be responding. So it's a good thing. The service, I believe, is as good or better. So good thing.
Look, what the takeaway for me is October 18th.
October 18th.
I know the press got that. October 18th, there'll be a fire truck in the building. So,
Mayor, may I add a comment?
sure.
I want to publicly acknowledge the attorney Nestor Smith.
Done a yeoman's
who
job.
Was retained by the township to represent the interests of Mizpah. He did a fantastic job. He did it quickly. He did it right. And I think it's appropriate to give him a shout out because I couldn't do it without him.
We as a committee, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but we thank him for his efforts because he absolutely got us to this point. So we appreciate that. So thank you, Nestor Smith. Brett, you have something you may want to add?
The only thing I want to add about adding the fire truck out there by the 18th, that the wells and the pumps have been tested. There's 2 or 3 wells out there that they draft water from, and
Okay.
all of those are 100% working. So I think that's real important for when the fire truck gets there. Other than that, Public Works has finished up cleaning the interior of the building out. We're working on getting quotes for painting the exterior, getting some signage put up on the outside, as well as in front of the driveway, and moving the memorial over to the left side of the building for Natalie Dempsey and Mr. Archetta, which will relocate the flagpoles that's currently in front of the fire base. So, work in progress.
Do we have an artist rendering up on the website, Mr. Miller? I think that at this point now, that since Public Works has done such an amazing job out there getting started, I think that it would be appropriate to go ahead and post what we've came to the conclusion this evening, that a firehouse will be in there, and post those plans up there. Mizpah residents received a copy of it because it went out to them, but I think the rest of the township should see the work that this committee has done in order, and the chief and of course Public Works under Brett's control have done to bring that back to life out there.
Question. Was this done in consultation with the residents of Mizpah?
It has. So the mayor and myself went up to Mizpah to advise them or talk to them.
Basically, a town hall we did.
What's
a
that?
town hall, I would say we did.
Yes. And so change is hard sometimes, as we know. There was some people that were for us, and I would say that there was some people that were against us, which you can't please everybody. But as my job as the public safety director of the township and everything is to provide safety services for the township. And good, excellent safety services for the township. And that's what we're doing. And that's the bottom line. It's not personal. It's about business, about what's doing right for our taxpayers. And that is the bottom line. But yes, they have had some input, and once again, some good, some's bad, but you know.
Well, listen, as a township, we didn't cause the situation. As a township, we were tasked with correcting it. And I believe that we have done just that. And not only have we corrected it, Chief, thanks to your efforts, we've enhanced the product that they're going to have out there. And again, we say MISPA, but we have to understand that this is benefiting the entire western part of Hamilton Township.
Absolutely.
So,
when it comes to public works, I can't even explain how, Brett could probably explain better than I could, but when it comes to their winter snow efforts, and when it gets icy out, even without snow, they are going to be up there already. I mean, they're going to have the resources that they need to get that whole western side of the township safe for people to drive. And to me, that's huge, you know. So
absolutely,
it's going to benefit the whole western side of the township.
Well, I do appreciate the effort from both of you. And we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yes, we do.
And I do appreciate the efforts of Township Committee for making, getting us to this point. And again, I'm going to the date, October 18th. There'll be a fire truck back in that
I'll
building.
whisper it in his ear.
Would you please? I'm going to have Peter make a couple of those signs to put up for him. All right. Any additional discussion, ladies and gentlemen? All right. We don't need any action on that. So thank you for your time. Next, we'll move on to D, the Lighthouse. Mrs. Link?
Just recently, the Friends of the Lighthouse were notified that Atlantic County Commissioners reiterated their intention to demolish the lighthouse during their meeting on Tuesday, September 17th, 2021. The Friends of the Lighthouse requested an extension of their lease due to the COVID-19. But the county denied the request. They will begin demolition of the lighthouse as soon as possible while making more improvements to the park. The Friends of the Lighthouse say, we need your voice to prevent them from demolishing the lighthouse. And to please write a letter to all the commissioners and the county executive, Denny Levinson, that you want the county to save the lighthouse. So that's where we stand. The time is up for the lighthouse to make its repairs. They were very unsuccessful in raising money for it. And the conclusion has been that this is something that a grant may be more accessible, either through the county or through Hamilton Township, but it is the county's property. I would like to just encourage that before they demolish the lighthouse, that they consider several things. The lighthouse was made of asbestos shingles from top to bottom. And all the white on that lighthouse is lead, needs lead abatement. And the Friends of the Lighthouse has reached out to see what that remediation would be. We haven't gotten a fact or figure, but we're estimating around $600,000 for that remediation, not $15,000 as they have quoted before. Now, it would be to their benefit to just make the necessary remedies as they've done to the many historic buildings in Lenape Park. So that is a recommendation. Thank you.
Committee? All right. Thank you, Mrs. Link. All right, we'll move on to 4A, public hearing, adoption of ordinances. First, we have Ordinance 1970-2021. This is an ordinance authorizing a tax agreement between Clayton Self-Storage at Mays Landing and the Township of Hamilton, providing for a 5-year tax exemption from taxation and payment in lieu of taxes regarding the construction project at Block 991, Lot 301. This is a addition being built to Clayton Self-Storage in our industrial park. They've been a great corporate neighbor. It's fantastic that they've made a decision to reinvest in our committee, and they are looking to enter into a pilot program in order to make this happen. And the agreement is only on the pilot program is only on the expansion. So it's whatever they're building in addition to what exists, they will get a break through our rehabilitation redevelopment program in order to go ahead and reinvest in Hamilton Township. So committee, questions, comments?
What I
Yes,
understand is a tax abatement, not exemption, correct?
that is correct. Yes.
A question has been posed by Mr. Richard. Are they going to be taking down trees in order to do this project? And
I have a question, Mr. Richard.
Yeah, that's the question.
This does not allow us, site plans are handled at the planning and or zoning board level. This is just us authorizing the agreement for their pilot program in order for them, again, to reinvest in our community. So that's what we're deciding on tonight. The discussion on tree removal and or other site improvements would be handled at the planning board level.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain, if there's no additional questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a comment. This is, they will pay full tax value on the land. It's only the actual building structure that is the tax abatement. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chief. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So you need a public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, you are correct. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to discuss this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Rita, roll call, please.
That motion in a second is to close the public hearing? No.
Closing public comment.
Close comment.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Ayes have it. Public hearing is closed. Now I will entertain a motion for ordinance 1970-2021, please.
Motion.
I have a motion. I have a second. Rita, roll call, please.
Mr. Chief?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
I would like to thank the Claytons for once again reinvesting in Hamilton as they've done many times over several decades. So I vote yes.
All yes and adopted.
All right, next we're going to move on to B, Ordinance 1971-2021. This is an ordinance to vacate the, thank you, finally, an ordinance to vacate the public alley connected to 2nd Avenue, situated on Block 758 in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, and release and relinquish the public rights therein. Just a little back, this is the American Legion building, the old firehouse in Mays Landing that has been in a state of disrepair for decades. And we have a developer that is looking to go ahead and rehabilitate that property, and this is something that was necessary in order to allow that redevelopment to happen. So I'm excited about this one. Finally, we'll get some work started out there if this passes. So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak on this item? All right, hearing none. Oh, Mr. Stry? Now, you know I'm going to forget to close the public hearing on this.
I'll remind you.
Just a question. It's good to see somebody's going to do something with the building. But was there a time frame put on that?
Time frame for the renovations?
Rehabilitation? I mean,
Well,
is it going to sit for 5, 10 years, 15 years?
I think there was.
Actually,
I'm sorry. Is there a time frame on the rehabilitation?
Peter,
of
would
the
you? Yeah, please.
The developer is ready to proceed. He's been waiting for the street vacation to go through as a condition of acceptance to proceed. So we're anticipating that we'll be seeing plans for him to go forward rather quickly.
He is anxious, Mr. Stry.
Okay.
We've had numerous conversations, and this was a piece of the puzzle that had to be done. And as you know, this was on and off the meeting
Right.
because of a meets and bounds issue, which we now have worked out.
Okay.
So he's looking to start as soon as we can get this under.
Before the end of the year, he'll put in applications or requests for permits?
I would assume you're probably going to see it right away once this is done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to speak on Ordinance 1970-2021? Seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to close.
Move to close.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public is closed. I'll entertain a motion. If there's no further discussion,
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Ms. Martino, could we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cheek?
100%. This has bounced around quite a while.
100% yes.
Yes.
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Absolutely, yes. All right. Next, we'll move on to 5. I don't believe I'm missing anything here, which is introduction of ordinances, which I don't believe we have any. So we'll move on for administration of the Section 125 Cafeteria Plan for the 2022 plan year and authorizing the CFO to sign the same. Committee, questions, comments, motion?
Yeah, would you let the audience know what cafeteria plan means?
It is the plan for their health benefits and retirement, correct, Peter?
Yes, primarily that there is a component of retirement in there. Also, there is where you could pre-tax dollars to pay for your healthcare benefits.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions or comments from committee?
I appreciate Mr. Conservator. Like the cafeteria, that was throw you for a loop.
I first thought it was free lunch, but
Yeah. Explain to me, it was a lot of choices as you have in a cafeteria.
yeah. Committee?
A motion.
I have a
A
motion.
second?
I have a second. Roll call, please, Rita.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Next, we'll move on to 6B. This is a resolution rejecting the bid for irrigation systems, winterization and repairs, bid number 2021-12. Peter?
Yes, we wanted to bid for the winterization irrigation system. This is the first time we bid it. We only received one bidder, and that bid came in higher than our estimate. So Public Works is recommending that we reject it. We'll reevaluate our bid documents and hopefully solicit more bidders and get a better price.
Thank you. Committee, questions, comments? Motion, please.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second?
I have a second. Ms. Martino, roll call, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
All right, next we'll move on to 6C. This is a resolution approving a change order number 1 for All Vinyl Fence LLC in the amount of $34,500, Public Works Pole Barn, bid 2021-01. I am sure the committee has read their packet. Mr. Miller, for the benefit of the public, would you just give a little background on this, please?
Originally, Public Works thought they could do a demolition of the existing structure out there. When they went to take a look at it, they realized that the concrete was 2.5 times thicker than they anticipated. They thought they had a 3-inch slab. It was an 8-inch slab. The footing was a 3-foot by 5-foot concrete slab. It was beyond the scope of their ability, so they spoke with the GC on the project, which is All Vinyl Fence LLC, and they gave them a price to do the work, and it was authorized to proceed. And this is a change order at the end of the project, cleaning it up.
All right, committee,
So
questions,
moved.
comments? Motion? You did?
I had the experience with that kind of concrete before when trying to.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Link. Gentlemen, I need a second.
I'll second.
I have a second by Mr. Gishard. Ms. Martina, could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
All right. Next, we'll move on to 7, which is the consent agenda. Items A through M. Committee, questions, comments, motion, please?
I'm good with A through M.
Is that a
Motion.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Deputy Mayor Vitale, second by Committeeman Cheek. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, we will move on to 8, personnel. Resolution appointing Aaron Crean to regular full-time exempt position of Director of Community Development at an annual salary of $102,000 effective October 12th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Rita, could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
I would like to welcome Ms. Crean. I see her in the audience. If she would say hello, welcome. And we have a meeting at 8 o'clock on the 12th with a developer. I'll fill you in if you reach out to me, okay? On Tuesday the 12th, your first day. So we're gonna hit the ground running with you, all right? Welcome aboard. We'll move on to 9A, the regular meeting minutes, September 20th of 2021.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Deputy Mayor, second by Mrs. Link. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Next, we'll move on to B, special executive meeting minutes of September 14th, 2021.
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion. I have a second. Rita, roll call, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
C, executive session meetings minutes of September 20th, 2021.
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Next, we have D, bill, the bill list total of $1,250,909.52. Deputy Mayor, could I get a motion on this?
So moved.
So I have a motion.
Second.
Second, roll call, please.
Mr. Cheek?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Kane?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
All right. So now we'll move on to reports. Mr. Administrator.
I just want to publicly thank Erin Crean for accepting the position. I think she's going to be a wonderful asset to the township. She brings a level of enthusiasm that I think is needed here and would be a great liaison with your business community. So I'm happy she's here, and I'm happy you took this positive action to appoint her tonight. Other than that, I have no further report.
We appreciate those comments, and I'm sure she does also. We're looking forward to working with her. Mr. Solicitor.
At the last meeting, I was asked to report tonight with respect to Fernmore Homes, the Woods Landing development, and where the improvements and the punch list stand now. Mr. Cheek calls me every single day, and this has been my week. But it's pretty good news. So Kevin Dixon put together a punch list. There was an existing punch list from when the developer's agreement was put in place. There was a meeting of the principals and the solicitor for the developer. They compared the punch list and they agreed that Kevin's punch list was accurate. They also agreed that there were certain improvements that were done that need to be fixed, curbing, for example. And I'm going to read part of the email that I received from their attorney late Friday afternoon. And it says, and I'm quoting, "We are currently completed phase 2, 3A, and 3B. Those 3 phases consist of 134 homes. Our plan is to pave those phases before the winter turns cold. In order to do so, we will need to move quickly to address several punch list items prior to paving, things like curbing, etc. We have instructed our construction team to immediately begin these items. Our goal is to try and complete them all and all of the punch list items for phases 2, 3A, and 3B before the end of 2021. Regarding phase 1 and 4, we're close. We're not quite at 90% completion. By finishing the punch list, the paving today, we will need to redo most of the work that the construction vehicles would cause damage during the new improvements. As you know, once they get to the 90% level, that's when they have to put the top coat paving on. Phase 5 is in its infancy. So everything's going to be done before it gets cold, and it's going to get done properly. They've agreed to go back and do things that technically are not on the punch list, but they acknowledge are a little deteriorated. We, as a township, are still holding their performance bonds. And they indicate in this email that regarding the existing bonds, and I'm quoting, just look at phase 2, 3A, and 3B. The total outstanding bonded amount for these phases is $315,771. Our most recent quote for asphalt alone, just for phases 2, 3A, is $369,000. We anticipate once you add up the punch list items, including phase 3B paving, our cost for phases 2, 3A, and 3B will be somewhere north of $490,000, which significantly exceeds the amount of the bonds. In any event, we are looking forward to working with Hamilton Township to complete our obligations and then move on to build out phase 5. Mr. Cheek and I made it clear that the paving's got to be done this year. There was no discussion around that. There was no, and truthfully, there was not a lot of pushback. So I think that some of these folks might be from the Woods Landing development. And I just want to tell you all, it makes me feel good to help you. Makes me my job easier, better. And I won't be getting the morning phone calls from that guy up there anymore.
Well, Mr. Sandman, first of all, thank you. Thank you, Committeeman Cheek. 3 words I took away from that are quickly, immediately, and properly. So as long as those 3 things get handled in that order or in any order, as long as it's done quickly, immediately, and properly, then they're going to make this committee extremely happy that this is getting done.
Is your meeting still on for the 13th, Ralph?
Yes.
So what's going to happen is the developer's going to meet with the association.
Fantastic.
So I just hope, I'm sure I speak to Ralph pretty regularly. Speedy post, if you want to see a quick comment out there.
You have to speak in the microscope.
Well, it'd be nice for them not to have 2x4s and 2x6s going up into their driveways and not have to worry about dodging a manhole cover as you traverse your neighborhood. So, all right. Mr. Engineer.
Yeah, Mayor and Committee, I have a few items. The first I want to report on is the Lake Lenape Dam. We had our monthly meeting with the county, and we present at that meeting was Matt Luneman. He's with WSP. They're the consultants designing the powerhouse and the dam spillway. Matt, it was good to have Matt on the call. It's a Zoom call because Matt gave us the update on the powerhouse. They have recently submitted the revised plans to this DEP and to Pinelands. So they expect those approvals to be obtained in the near future. Once those approvals are obtained, the county can put the improvements to the powerhouse out to bid. The second part of this is the spillway design. WSP last week performed some soil borings, 3 borings in the water, structural deep borings. I think they said they were going down 60 feet. By February 1st, the design of the dam will be at a 60% completion. And at that point, they will come to our committee to give us a public information session. So the anticipated date will be the first meeting in February. That they'll come, they'll do a full presentation, and we'll get to see the what was once conceptual drawings. We'll get to see more or less the design, the detailed design of the dam in February. Next item I want to report on is Newark Avenue Bridge. I've been telling the committee for a while the bridge is anticipated to be completed by Thanksgiving. The county informed me that date will slip by about 2 weeks. They're having some difficulty with some material arriving in a timely fashion. So I'm told now that we're looking more to like the first or second week of December for completion of New York Avenue Bridge. I want to report on the road program, Grand Avenue, Harley, South Avenue. Spoke to Arawak Paving Company. We'll be setting up a pre-construction meeting in the next week or so. I'm just waiting for the signed contract and everything will be ready to start. I want to talk about Lake Lenape Dam. If you've been over the dam and you'll notice that the utility bridge is now removed. That work is done. The only remaining items are topsoil, seeding, fertilizing some areas. You'll notice that the trailer is still in the parking lot of Cotton Mill parking lot. And the reason for that is the same contractor working on New York Avenue Bridge is utilizing, and they're going to leave that trailer there. It's a little bit of a distance traveled to New York Avenue Bridge, but there's no place to place that trailer on site with that narrow roadway of New York Avenue. So that bridge will stay there till the completion of the New York Avenue Bridge. I want to report on 3rd Street. 3rd Street finally went out to bid. Finally, DOT issued their final approval letter. That has been advertised. I've had contractors pick up plans for 3rd Street, and bid opening is October 21st for 3rd Street. The other thing, it wasn't on my report, but I just want to, the committee passed a resolution in support of NJDOT's Safe Routes to School grant that we're applying for. That grant's due in about a week and a half. And I just want to thank Jerry Nelson from the school board for very quickly getting me supplying us a letter of support from the Hamilton Township School Board. I contacted him last week, and within a 24-hour period, he helped me place it on the agenda at the school board, and they supplied us with a letter of support for the Safe Routes to School. And just to go over this with the committee, our application is going to be for sidewalk and ADA improvements and line striping on Farragut Avenue from 9th Street to all the way through where it crosses 3rd, where Farragut School is, and then we're carrying it 2 more blocks to Main Street. So we'll go from 9th Street, Farragut Avenue, it takes that jog at 3rd Street and over to where St. Vincent de Paul is. So we'll have an application filed by the 14th of October for Safe Routes to School. So Mayor and Committee, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Steve. And I'd just like to publicly thank Deputy Mayor and yourself, Brett, obviously for keeping this on track. And it's nice to hear these timelines each and every meeting and know that progress is being made finally on that dam. And it is because of the efforts of this man and what he has done to keep this thing on track. So
the Deputy Mayor, I think about a year ago, sort of had a really good recommendation, and that's why can't we have it, like, not to speak negatively about the county, but he had this idea that if we could have a monthly meeting, we could keep everybody focused and on track. And I think that's paid off very well for all of us. And it's got us to where we are now. And I know we're sort of in striking distance because of that.
Well, sometimes you got to pull somebody, kick it, and scream into the meeting, but they show up. I wanted to bring up one thing. I know you had mentioned at the last meeting, or maybe it was a meeting before, if there were any issues we had on Route 322 where they're not going to get that surface paving done this year. Anything that we see that we would like to be addressed?
I looked at it this weekend, and there's some areas that just we can't stay. Cologne Avenue's, that interface there is difficult when you ride. Turning into Walmart is
and where McDonald's is. That one there is bad.
Yeah.
Too.
I'm sorry.
Where the McDonald's is, that
Where the
one's
McDonald's
bad.
is, that's a disaster.
But the one thing that I saw that I feel if they're not going to put down the surface course this year, they put down the intermediate course and then it's striped with temporary striping. Well, it's hard to believe that this temporary striping has been a year and a half now. I don't consider that temporary anymore.
Okay.
And we're coming into the winter again. And you drive down there in the rain and you can't see that striping. I think they need to do something about that, whether freshen up the temporary striping or put down the latex paint like they're supposed to.
Okay.
That's something that needs to be discussed. I believe it's a definite safety issue.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to maybe get with Brett. Maybe Brett and I could put together a list. I'd like to really go with more of a formal approach to DOT and to the contractor and make a formal request item by item to see if we can get some momentum on this. The contractor said it was. He suggested that when he was told that it's going to be paving will be next spring, he said that the residents of Hamilton Township aren't going to tolerate this because we've been waiting through the summer, through this season. So I'd like to put a formal list together and Deputy Mayor, I'd like to maybe run that by you before I make that formal request, but I don't want to miss anything. Reverend Ash, after the meeting 2 weeks ago in the hallway said, he brought a couple things up to my attention too. So I'm ready to do that request. And with Brett's suggestion, and maybe you take a look at it, we'll put a request and get some work done here this year.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
As always, Steve, thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to Township Committee members. Judy?
Excuse me if I have a cough here. I went to the open house for Crest, and to say the least, I was very impressed by what Crest has to offer our students, the opportunities to obtain college credits and possibly obtain an associate degree in various subject matter. All the different high schools have their forte, and I particularly liked the idea that they had a medical department and also a nutritional department. And I think those two things, as I recall from my daughter who is a graduate and a doctor at this time, she said they really don't do too much on nutrition in the medical school. And I thought that was a nice marriage, that they were talking nutrition and they were talking about medical school. So that's about it.
All right, thank you. Committeeman Cheek?
Yesterday, I had the fortunate thing to go to the Mays Landing Lakers homecoming football games.
Mm.
I had two grandchildren that participated in the taxi, one a football player, one a cheerleader. And what was great about it was that was the first game of the day, and you saw the families and their siblings all gathered at the football field, getting back to normal. They may have a sibling playing taxi and another sibling playing JV or varsity, but to see everyone just gathered there and just with what we've been through the last year and a half, it was just nice to see that everyone was gathering like that and was very, very respectable.
Fantastic.
Next, we have the Halloween parade coming up. And I'm inviting all the members from Woods Landing to come out and see our youth in the Halloween parade. Hope to see you there. That's it.
May I add that it is put on by the Rotary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rodney. You're good this evening? Okay. Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to say welcome to Aaron. If your enthusiasm rubs off on anybody, it'll be fantastic. Very much looking forward to working with you. Had art in the park, and I felt that went very well. The weather was fantastic. A lot of people there. It was really nice to see. Everything went really, really well with that. And kind of jumping on what Judy said about Crest. My girlfriend's daughter is a freshman, and she is in the, I guess, the nutrition cooking magnet program, and that is hooked up with ACCC, who we all know is very well known for their culinary. And it sounds to me like she could almost walk out of there, graduate from Crest with an associate's degree. Of course, it's not free, but that's just nice to know and nice to see that our high school is hooking up with the local college and getting things done. With stuff like that. That's pretty amazing. And just want to give a shout out to the Crest marching ambassadors who are 3-0. They've won all of their competitions so far. So I've been drugged to all the band competitions. I think I went to one when I went to Crest in my 4 years. I've been to 3 already because Jordan is in band. And one thing I did notice, and it's kind of sad. It makes me feel bad. I counted 22 instrumentalists in the whole band. That's it. And then the band front. Now, when I went to Crest, there were probably 60.
Yeah, a whole lot more than 22. Sure.
A whole lot more than 22. And I don't know what the answer is. They do an amazing job for being such a small band. And I wish there were more. Like I said, I don't know what the answer is, but I'd love to see more kids get involved with music and get involved with that. And then the last competition I was at, Township was there, and their band was much larger, and they did a very nice job. I mean, it's EHT, but got to give a shout out. And looking forward to the Halloween parade.
Yes.
Very much so. So hope to see everybody there.
Did you decide what you're going to be this year?
I'm
going to keep that close to the vest?
I'm going to keep that close to the vest.
Right.
I might have a top hat and a weird beard or something. I don't know. We'll see. So, but that's it for me. Reagan, Maddie, love you, miss you. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. And Committeeman Cheek, just your comments about the families and the youth. Imagine how many more families are going to be impacted by the great things we did with expanding recreation in this township.
By all means.
So
Yes.
a lot more children and families are going to be able to participate as we undertake this expansion. So I appreciate your comments. Couple things. One, we have the Ghost Walk coming up, which is sponsored by the Hamilton Historic Society, Friday, October 22nd. Reservations are required. Please visit www.hamiltonhistoric.org for reservations. Again, Peter, this is something I think we should, all 3 of these items put up on the website so people can access them there also. I touched on it the last time. Walking for Wellness is continuing. This is walking program for folks that are aged 50 plus. I can actually walk in that. Meets the next 3 Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. They are meeting on the bike path in front of Woodview Estates. You can call Lisa at the administrator's office at 609-625-4762 for additional information. But get out. The weather's beautiful this time of year. Get that exercise in. It's a great event. The new Mount Calvary Baptist Church is holding a winter coat giveaway on October 23rd from noon to 4. They'll have winter coats available for free for adults and children. That's at 6755 Millville Road. If you want to donate coats or you need additional information, you can call the church at 609-476-3671. So with that, I would like I am here this evening as my father is home celebrating his 84th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We plan on getting together tomorrow night to celebrate with him, but 84 years, still lives in the family homestead built in 1848 in the center of Main Street in town. So that house has been continually lived in by our ancestors since it's was built in 1848. So and he still lives there. So thank you for wishing him a happy birthday. And to that, I will open it up to quickly, immediately, and properly. Okay.
One more thing I forgot. Merchants Association is having a fall festival at War Memorial Park, and that'll be on October 31st, Chief. Till when?
It's either the 31st or the 96th.
Okay. Keep an eye out for Nixel, everybody. It'll go out.
I promise.
All right. Mr. Carrigan, if you would.
Did you open for the public?
I'm very happy for Arlene. Is that you there? And also, who's the new business administrator?
I believe we'll be able to report on it at the next meeting, Mr. Carrigan.
Okay.
So right now, we have concluded interviews and we're working through that process, and we should have more of the report at the next meeting.
And also, if I go to the Halloween parade, where's parking at? Where can I park?
The parking lot over there, 2nd Street.
Okay.
That'll be open behind the courthouse, and our lot on 2nd Street. If you want to go up the other end, I guess it's
The county, the library, and there's parking along Wells Fargo, and then obviously wherever else you may find a spot, Jim.
Side street.
And what time does the parade start?
6:30. 6:30.
But make sure you leave plenty of time because, as you know, what time will the road be closed?
5:30.
5:30. So
5:30 and 5:45.
So get into location by that time because the road will be closed and there are no exceptions. So,
Okay.
all right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm Bill Brooks. I live at 92 Merlino Lane in the Woods Landing development. I've been there next month 16 years. I've experienced the Cara bankruptcy and the Fernmoor buy-in. And I'd like to take this time to thank past and present township officials and let them know your support was greatly appreciated, all of you. It really is appreciated in our development.
Thank you,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Brownlee. I live at 14 Ernst Court. Of course, that's in the Woods Landing community. I currently am the president of the HOA, Homeowners Association. Last month, I remember coming here, and after the report, I remember saying to you that it was the best news I heard in 8 years. Tonight's was better. Really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody on the committee, in particular Mr. Cheek, Mr. Sandman, who said last month that he would keep us updated and in a loop. Thank you very much, because that's exactly what he did. And I'd like to close by just adding a public appreciation to Jeff Fernbach, Fernmore Homes, for number one, he's picked up construction in the community, and he's agreed to the punch list, taking care of the punch list. Can't ask for anything better than that.
Fantastic.
Thank you all.
Ralph, thank you for your comments.
Two things, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to comment on the lighthouse that Mrs. Link mentioned. I think it's a shame, really, that the county has allowed the lighthouse. Many of us have lived here, forever, all our lives. It's iconic on Lake Lenape and Mays Landing, and it just seems that the county, it was from the beginning. I think they had never a intention of fixing the lighthouse. I think or maintaining it, to say the least. So I'm wondering where all of the freeholders that represent Hamilton Township, I think all of the at-large freeholders do, and I think the way the township is represented in districts, there's probably 5 or 6, maybe even 7 freeholders that represent Hamilton Township and Mays Landing. And I know Miss Gatto is from Mays Landing. I don't know how she voted. It'd be interesting to know. So I think it's a shame, really. So thank you for your effort in trying. I know you have been for some time. It's a shame that you didn't succeed. And I think it's a shame for the township to lose a landmark that's been around for, I don't know, 100
1934.
years? 1934, sure.
Over 80 years.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your effort. The other thing, back to briefly to the open space trust fund.
Sure.
The signs that are going up are going to be, what line item, what budget did that come out of?
It will probably come out of the administrator's OE budget.
Administrator's budget?
Yes.
Will there be a disclaimer on a paid for on the sign?
It will say paid for by the Township of Hamilton.
Okay. And does the placement of the signs comply with the township sign ordinance?
They will.
Meaning they'll be on private property, not public?
Yes.
Okay, so in other words, private individuals. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And the signs will be removed how many days after the election?
Well, whatever the sign ordinance, Bruce, I'm very well versed with it. I believe it's 14 days.
Okay.
So whatever the sign ordinance currently says is what we will follow.
Okay, so they'll be removed. Okay.
Usually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bruce.
Hi, thanks. I wanted to just say a couple things about the township and things that we appreciate at the school board. One is the police department's participation in our meetings. They've been showing up the last few meetings, showing their support, and even when I approached the mic at the last one, so it's been great. The other one is our trunk or treat that's coming up. We have gotten participation from the police department to come and participate with us with the kids. There will be hopefully at least 400 kids there. We also got a car donated, which we're going to do a car smash. First time this year we're going to try it. So we'll see if that raises any money for the PTA. And also snow cones will be available on site as well. Along with that, I want to let you know that we have almost completed all the replacement for the air conditioners, bringing the schools back up to 100% capacity from the ability to use all the rooms, including the gyms for gym instead of lunch. And we continue to give free lunch to all students, which will be at least through the end of this year. And then finally, we are doing Meet the Candidates tomorrow night. 4 candidates for 3 positions that are 3-year terms.
Okay.
And then they will post on the PTA site to allow you to view the questions and the responses.
So is it live streamed or is it?
Not going to live stream it just because this is their second year doing it. They don't feel confident enough to not to have to edit something out from the perspective of technical snafu.
And as far as the car smash, that's physically somebody would be able to go up and take a whack at the car. You're not actually smashing up cars in the parking lot.
Sledgehammers.
I assume so. Fantastic. Great ideas.
I guess it's, I'm sorry, 2 days before we'll be delivering the car there and they'll be painting. We're going to have the Hess School paint it. So the kids from our class come out and paint it. In lieu of putting teachers actually in the, one idea was to put teachers inside the car while it got smashed, and we didn't think it was going to work out. So we ended up just painting it, and then we'll enjoy that. So.
Oh, Lord.
And thank you for facilitating that other meeting. We are going to meet up next Tuesday morning. So,
Great.
All right. Thank you.
I just want to thank the committee for this opportunity and the confidence that you have in me, and just say I'm very much looking forward to serving the residents of Hamilton Township.
Let's hit the ground running. All right.
All right.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
I would be remiss if I didn't. We talked about Nestor Smith and everybody else that really helped us with the MISBA project, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Bob Sandman. He was a big help, and he really is the person that made it all happen. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I try to only give him accolades once a night, and I already did on Woods Landing. So. All right. Is there anyone else in the public that wishes to speak? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right. We're going to move on to, we do have executive session. Mr. Administrator, will we be coming back out in executive session? We will not take any formal action. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and enter into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton that this meeting be adjourned to an executive session to discuss the following matters which were exempt from public discussion pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, Human Resource Director position. Be it further resolved that the governing body will not reconvene in public session to confirm the results of the executive session. Be it further resolved that the results of the executive session shall be made known as soon as the basis for confidentiality is no longer confidential.
We're sworn to secrecy.
Goodbye, James.